On tonight's programme, it's potentially lethal and half of sufferers don't even know they have it. Tonight, the campaign to wipe out Hepatitis C in Wales. Good evening. Hepatitis C is a virus and it can kill. In Wales, up to 14,000 people are currently living with it, but half have no idea they've been infected. If left untreated, it can cause fatal liver disease and cancer. Today, a campaign was launched to eliminate the disease in Wales over the next decade. But the challenge is to get people at risk tested and treated. Our health reporter James Crichton-Smith has tonight's top story.
2014, I realized that I had a lot of fatigue, tiredness, and sometimes nauseousness, and I didn't feel the same. So I went to my doctors and asked them could they do some random tests.
Those tests showed that Tahir had hepatitis C, an infection of the blood that spread through blood-to-blood contact. It damages the liver, it can be deadly, but it is curable.
I was a bit scared, and I think, how would I reveal this to my family, my mum and my missus and all my family, because they will fear a lot, and for them it would be a big shock. I was eager to have treatment because I was scared that it might spread in my body.
Tahir started on injections and then had tablets. He is now clear of the virus.
Oh, by the way, did you hear? Dylan was just diagnosed with hepatitis C.
There is now a drive to make the whole of Wales hepatitis-free by 2030.
He tried injecting drugs once.
Up to 14,000 people here have the virus, but around half don't know it, posing a big challenge to that target.
So we have to find people who have been infected. They won't necessarily have any symptoms, and it's really about people thinking about whether they could have been infected in the past. And perhaps people listening, they should think, well, did they ever dabble in drugs when they were younger, even if it was just once? Did they have a blood transfusion before 1991, or do they come from a high prevalence country?
David contracted hepatitis C after being given a blood product contaminated with the virus. He too is clear after being diagnosed in 1994 and having treatment. He carried the virus unawares for around 12 years and knew little about its potential impacts when he found out he had it.
I think that it needs more publicity. I think that we need to get the message out there more. It needs more government support. As I said, it is a really, really nasty virus.
But that nasty virus can only be tackled when it's detected, and detecting it in those who may have no symptoms at all is not straightforward. James Crichton-Smith, ITV News.
Well, with me now is Delith Tompkinson, a clinical nurse specialist in the field of liver disease. Thank you for coming in. Let's just be clear, how can you pick up this virus?
So it's a blood-borne virus, so it's transmitted from blood to blood. So if you've exposed yourself from somebody else's infected blood, then you can potentially infect yourself. The main risk factors, as my consultant sort of mentioned, was that anybody who's maybe had a blood transfusion or blood products or renal transplant before 1991. People from high prevalent countries, so the main countries that we focus on are people from Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, possibly. People, as Brad mentioned, people who've dabbled maybe once or twice in the past.
Even once?
Even once, yeah. That's all it takes. Hepatitis C is a very hardy virus. It hangs around for a long time. And it's not just needles, it's all the drug-taking paraphernalia, but also people who've maybe snorted cocaine, who shared notes. So it's anybody's infected blood that you've been exposed to.
So really, people should be thinking back over their past, really, and just thinking for those little incidences that may have led them to be at risk, really?
Potentially. We know people who are travelling to high prevalent countries for maybe cosmetic surgery,
right.
But we also know practices of late that are offering maybe discount for cosmetic procedures like Botox parties and Jabatan parties, that they'll offer discount for if they share needles. So, it's making the public aware of what the risk factors are.
But the positive news is that, as we saw in the film there, if treatment it can really fix this.
Absolutely, and the treatment is really easy. Historically, we had something called interferon and ribavirin for 20 years. Now we've got these amazing new drugs that are very easy to take, they're very safe, and they're very, very effective. So potentially we can diagnose somebody, and we can actually cure them within 8 to 12 weeks with just oral treatment, which is easy to take.
OK, Telith Tompkinson, I hope people are listening. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.